The final word.
The final word.
The final word.
What was you saying, Big? Don't stop talking now. Don't stop talking. What was you saying, Big dog? You talking about the clickbait?
The final word.
Oh, clickbait. You know, as soon as you post a 4-3, somebody going to your channel.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, bro. It was some 4-3s today, so obviously.
Man, the boys is fast, man. I remember back in the day, you know, in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s when I was watching football, when one linebacker or one defensive end ran like a 4.6, the whole combine was jumping. Now the whole damn combine running 4.5s and 4.6s.
Facts.
And you can believe these times, too, because it's also translating to the field. You know what I mean? Because, see, I ain't going to lie, Big. When I first saw Big Mike Parson run that 4.3, I was like...
The final word.
I was like, man, ain't no way a dude that big just ran a 4.3. But... that boy's
It's different. Hey, they got all them nutrients in the food now, dog.
Yeah, bro.
And I can tell you, last year I met the owner of the technology. That shit is real, bro. The technology.
The final word.
Like the Zabex system. I know how to run all of that stuff, bro.
The
Legit.
final word.
Are you talking
The
about
final
like the
word.
speed program?
The final word.
The final
No,
word.
I'm talking about like the lasers and all the metals and stuff on the side. Like how they time it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to send you an old video. I have an interview with the guy who got the technology and everything.
So you basically saying how exact it is, basically.
Oh yeah, it's exact as hell, man.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Yeah.
The final word.
I can dig it.
Ooh, Dallas need to get a defensive end.
You want a defensive end for real big?
Hell yeah, I do.
Damn,
Me too,
you
bro.
like this class, huh? You really like
we
this
need
class.
a DN. Bro, we don't got no DN.
What you mean we don't got no DN, big dog?
You know he don't like D-Law. You know
that's
he don't like D-Law.
That's true. That is true.
You want answers?
That is true.
You can't handle the truth.
That's fact.
Yeah,
Wait. Shout out to the big homie Law Nation, man. He absent today, man, taking a much needed vacation, but we holding it down for the homie. We got his
prayers
list.
are for you. Our prayers
The
are
final
for you.
word.
Yeah.
Prayers are for
But today is defensive end, and this is what my homie Big wanted. Big was like, we talking about defensive end. All right, bro, all right. We doing it. All right.
He trying to get D-Law about the building eventually.
No, bro, what did he
The
talk
final
about?
word.
you. I
The
don't
final
pay the
word.
tag on that. Come on, man. We eventually gotta have
The
somebody
final
be able to
word.
replace. We ain't got
The
nobody on the
final
roster.
word.
Sam
The
Williams.
final word.
The
Plus the
final
DNs.
The final word.
We got some kids.
Okay.
You might be right. Do we have some Yeah, we gonna talk about that first. So that's exactly how we gonna start this talk. We gonna start it off with that.
The final word.
That's exactly what we're starting off. Let's go. Let's get it. Run it up.
I just wanna run it up. Can we check or something? I've been really in the field, let up, I've been really in the field, let her rush, I let her feel. Lately, I just wanna run it up. Don't need no deals, I make the deal. Have to take it to
Hold up. And if it was up to me, if it was up to little old me to make a pick, it would probably go a little something like this. And with the 17th pick of the 2020 Dallas Cowboys NFL draft, the Dallas Cowboys select CeeDee Lamb.
Production game was weak.
Man. Hey, it's dope now though.
Right.
It's dope now. So, let's get it.
I will move down.
The smart thing would be to move down, but the Cowboys historically don't.
Boss could be a trade down here with Justin. We got to trade. We got to trade. We got to trade.
I said this is the place to move
Boss
We
is
were just
in
here
the
talking
building.
Justin Fields.
this is the place to move down.
Go hard,
That was a dope draft.
go home, go hard, go home, go hard, go home, go hard, go home. Touchdown like the end zone. When the circle turn to my home, can't get me out of my zone. Go hard, go home, go.
I love Parsons as a rush defensive end, right? If you draft him and you put him on
This
the
is
end,
clutch
turn
right
him into
here.
another
Yeah.
DeMarcus Ware. Let him rush the quarterback, get upfield, and create damage to the other opposing offense.
We got
So
the
look,
pick.
man, here it is.
We got the pick.
Yeah, this gotta be Parsons. Like, Parsons the best player available.
Go home. Yeah, these championship rings on my hands now. In my head, I'm top 10, yeah, that's hands down. You a squad, now you're looking man down.
Town Vegas.
Funny how foes turn to friends now.
So the Cowboys just selected Jake Ferguson with pick 129. Hey, I'm good. I love the pick. I love the player. I know that a lot of people will say that this is probably a reach.
Draft was
This is
near
about
until we
where
got
I
Jake
had
Ferguson
Jake
for me.
Ferguson. Really solid
Jake
player
from
from
State
Wisconsin. He can do all of it. He can block. He can run routes.
Watch
He
right
can
after this
actually
video.
make people miss. He can overfield.
Police call like a target. Call filling up, I need product again. Treat the business like a playground, might slide on you. Do a backflip, cause I'm mad rich. I'm the definition of what that is. Go hard, go home, go hard, go home, go hard, go home, go hard, go home. Touchdown like the end zone. When the circle turn to my home, can't get me out of my zone. Go hard, go home, go hard, go home.
All right, man. So listen.
Go home.
So this is the deal. We already talked about, and you say we ain't got no defensive end, so let's kind of start this conversation. All right.
We don't.
We go. All right. Start with you on there, Big. We gonna start with you.
Okay.
You looking in the house of what we got. So boom.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you who we got right now on the roster. Okay, these are our defensive linemen. DeMarcus Lawrence, taking up a whole bunch of cap. 31, taking a whole bunch of cap. All right, anyway, I'm gonna leave it alone. All right. Lawrence Armstrong Jr. He had a good year. He had like 8 sacks this year, right? Good year, but he's not dominant, right? He's not irreplaceable. Okay. Then you got your Sam Williams, who's coming in your year 2, right?
Yep.
Then Chauncey Golston, he ain't really an edge now because he got bigger and they moved him. They moved him on the inside.
Yeah, he a
so
3.
where are the
Chauncey
rest of them? Because besides them, you got Neville Gallimore, who probably might not be there. Osa Ogadazua, who they keep inside, they should flex outside, and then Quentin Bohanna. Where are our edges at?
You forgot Michael Parsons, bro.
Man, come on, dog. He ain't no strictly no edge, y'all. You can move him around. He ain't no strictly no edge.
He play a lot of edge. So I would say
He
we
play a
got
lot of
4.
edge.
Because we ain't got no edges. That's why he got to play edge.
Exactly. Thank you.
No.
Tell him, DMV. Tell him. Tell him. He's talking
Hey,
true.
bro, we had to play him at edge for a reason, man. And at one point, I was thinking,
So
man,
we
maybe
didn't
it's
play him because he was effective, big dog?
Right. That's what his bread and butter is.
Right.
Yeah.
Hold up.
I
Don't
mean,
do that.
yeah.
Don't do that, boss.
I mean,
Don't do that.
No, you
DMV,
started
don't,
big.
DMV,
but
don't
here's my
back
thing,
up.
though, right?
Don't back up.
Hey, don't
Here's my
back
thing.
up. Because you know I'm
My man
flat-footed
had a-
on this, dog.
What was Mike's injury?
You up, bro? Don't let Big Game Jets.
What was Mike's injury? What, growing or whatever? We had to put him there. I mean, he's effective either way. He's effective either way.
Let's keep
had
it
to put
real,
him there.
though. Let's keep it real. Just bouncing off DMV when he said we had to put him there. Remember when Micah didn't play in the game, that defense was average. Remember when it was last year when he sat out, the defense is average when he's not playing, okay? And when he don't play DN, that pass rush was average. And you know it. They weren't getting the pressure like they are when Parsons is playing DN. So you don't have you need guys, and this is what they said. You can never have too many edge rushers, right? You can never have too many edge rushers. And Dallas is still lacking in that area. They need more guys that rush the passer. You don't know what they're going to do in free agency. You don't know if they're going to sign any of those guys back. You need to get a couple, at least to me, 1 or 2 guys defensively on the defensive end position.
OC, you've been quiet,
I'm
bro.
gonna pick.
We got you, DMV, but
Yeah.
be quiet. So you gonna have to break the tie, unless you're wrong.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, you're hoping that Sam makes a huge leap forward and becomes a very productive pass rusher. You do want to have the ability to move Micah Parsons from linebacker to defensive end, and vice versa. In my opinion, with Micah Parsons playing more middle linebacker situationally, I think less is more. I think the more he pass rushes, the less effective he becomes. The less he pass rushes, the more effective he is. So, yes, you need another edge. And Fowler, and we know based upon the productivity at this point in his career, Tank Lawrence, those guys are not the answers. You got to get somebody else in the building.
Wait.
Thank you, OC. Appreciate you.
I ain't even start no fights today, but Tuck,
I think
go ahead, Tuck, because they pissing me off. Go ahead, Tuck.
Now, do we need to add some more? Now, do we need to add some more depth? Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like we are perfectly fine at edge rusher. I feel like we almost getting overstocked at one point because if you look at Sam Williams last year, he didn't get the reps that he needed to do because there's a logjam with Dorrance Armstrong. So you have Dorrance Armstrong, you bring it back to Marcus Lawrence, you got Micah Parsons, you got Sam Williams who's going to take a leap forward. Like, you can go get a guy on day 2 or day 3 to kind of throw in the rotation and a veteran free agent and get right back to business. So I don't think edge is a priority. Should we address it? Yeah, absolutely. But I just don't think it's a huge priority. I feel like the Dallas Cowboys defensively have a lot more needs, especially at the linebacker position, than I would say at the edge position. And also in the interior defensive line as well. So
somebody asked, where's Loud Nation? So he is on a needed vacation. So but we still got his list, and we gonna talk about his list. All right. So
and Law wanted me to tell y'all that he thinks we should cut Zeke. You know what I'm saying? He finally came to terms. He just texted to me, man.
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff. It didn't happen.
Yeah, that's a fake ass dude. No doubt. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you said that because I talked to
And wait a second, boss, before you go real quick. I'm going to fight back at you, Tuck, on about that defensive end thing. Just for about 2 seconds, all right? I'm going to keep it short.
I want to see him fight. I'm tired of all this friendliness. Y'all making me sick.
Because here's the thing. You said that Sam Williams making a huge leap forward. If he does not make the leap forward, furthermore, if you have an injury to Micah Parsons, you're screwed. If you have an injury to Micah Parsons, you are screwed because you don't have any other proven pass rushers. We know that Dorrance Armstrong is a lunch pail pass rusher. He's an effort guy. He's a guy that gets a lot of cleanup sacks after quarterbacks have got flushed. He's not a beat a dude at the top of the pass rush and come around the edge and get him, right? Now, I grant you that Tank Lawrence is disruptive, but he's only produced 6 sacks. He hasn't produced double-digit sacks in, I believe, 4 years now. So you're screwed if Micah Parsons gets hurt. And I'm saying this because he was gimpy near the end of the year with a variety of ailments that we can clearly see slowed him down. We got to get another edge.
Now, what I'll say to that is that we're going to talk about these draft prospects. I don't give a damn who we draft. If Micah Parsons goes down, we still screwed. So it's like it's levels, right? But I feel like we also have more than enough that if we need to do a rotation, if you said, you know what, Sam Williams to take that leap forward, we will still be perfectly fine. Like I said, we can still sprinkle in guys to help this defense and defensive end position, but I just don't think it's a huge priority. Like the interior defensive line is more important right now than the edge. The linebacker position, getting depth there, is more important than the edge. I feel like if there's any strength of this Cowboys defense, is actually at the edge position. I mean,
I can't agree with that one, Tuck.
So where's the strength of the defense at?
Wait, they jumping. Tuck getting jumped. What's going on?
Because if you look at the whole defense, it was a collateral thing. It wasn't like It wasn't really one thing, and just like what bouncing off what OC said, especially like with Dorrance Armstrong Jr., he's not a guy that you're going to sit there and say, And I liked what he did this past season, but he's not a guy you're going to sit there and depend on getting those one-on-one sacks. He's a guy when they get stunned, somebody else takes the stunt, he gets a free release, or he gets in there at the last minute. But he's not a guy that you want to say you can depend on. And here, DeMarcus Lawrence, we love him in the run game, but dog, he had 3 sacks in one daggone game against the Giants. You negate that he had 3 sacks the whole daggone year? Are we serious? And we're talking about we're relying on him? And then you're going to tell me, I feel you with Sam Williams. But we're hoping he takes that lead. We're hoping, right? And then who else? Golston's been kicked inside. We don't have anybody else on them edge rushers. Dante Fowler Jr., he's up for free agent. We don't know if he's getting signed. So I don't see where there's the strength in that. It was last year because we had it in waves. But now I think it's cleared out a little bit. And like you said, we had to push Micah Parsons to that edge, and he had 13 sacks. You take away his 13 sacks, it looks kind of bare now.
That's because
then also just real quick, just to jump in.
You got to count Micah as the edge, though.
I got you.
You got to count Micah as part of that edge. Like, he's in that equation.
He is.
And so you talked about losing Fowler, and possibly if Dorrance goes down, then that's when Sam Williams steps up. I feel like if Sam Williams got more reps last year, he would have probably had a much better season as well. So I feel like Sam is really able to take the void and step up. And so, like, we have the pillars of foundation now. Do we need to find a replacement for DeMarcus Lawrence eventually? Yes, but I just don't think that is the priority. Nose tackle, 3-tech, linebacker position, that is the priority when it comes to this Cowboys defense, not the edges. If there's any position where we're comfortable at, it has to be the edge position. I don't think of another position besides safety maybe that's more solid than the edge position. We actually had too much at the edge. We had to let go of Basham. Fowler barely got reps, and he got off to a hot start. So it was a log jam at that position. That's why I'm just saying, like, it just isn't a priority. But we'll address it here.
What I'll say to that, then I'm gonna kick it to you.
Man, you like the fight, OC.
No, I'm just giving some context. I do agree that linebacker is the number 1 position, but the big question is this: is that at the end of the day, you brought in Jonathan Hankins. He solved a major problem. He solved a major inside run problem. You need to build upon that. Where he got hurt, but he's there to be resigned, right? And so that's what I'm talking about. Furthermore, if Micah Parsons gets hurt, going back to my number 1 point here, who do you have that you are sure that can win one-on-one? And I'm saying right now, we hope Sam Williams is that guy. And I believe in his talent too, J-Tuck, by the way. I do believe in his talent. I believe he will step forward. But who do you have that can win one-on-one pass pro? And to me, that is a question that you need to really bounce around and think about. So if you get into the first and second round, you need to get into a situation to where you're looking and you're taking best player available if you got a linebacker or a really good defensive end sitting there. That's my opinion.
So you're saying second round priority, right? For defensive end. Day 2, right?
I'm not saying second round. I'm not saying second round priority. I'm saying you always take the best player available, first round or second round. Right? That's what I'm saying. So let me be super clear about that. So what I'm saying is that is a priority along with linebacker, but linebacker edging out a little bit. But I feel like you can get value and we're not even talking about linebacker, so I won't get into that. But I feel like you can get some value with linebacker. I'll can it there for the sake of time. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Y'all finished fighting? I'm just trying to make sure y'all finished. Y'all done?
We agree. Day 2, we get an edge rusher.
I mean,
or you can get a linebacker that can edge rush as well. There was tons of them out there at the combine today. There's tons of linebackers.
I can agree with that, Tuck. If you got like a combo, like a Michael Parsons is a combo, right? He can go to your edge and he can play linebacker. That's why you really like him. Now, if you can find a dual guy, I think you were talking about Drew Sanders, some edge. He can play linebacker. That's what I feel like the Cowboys would be greatly benefit. Because, they like flex positions. They like guys that can play multiple things. So I think that would be something that the Cowboys should look at. Somebody who can play multiple edge and linebacker, much like a Parsons, to kind of give him a break. Because I feel like we put too much on his plate. And just like I agree with OC said, the more he rushed, the more less he was effective. If we can get him in spots and we can have other people do it, that's when I feel like he is even a greater player.
Okay, so
and speaking of that, Boss Cowboy, go ahead, Boss.
No, go ahead, OC. It's on you.
No. Speaking about that, I'm ready to get into my list whenever you're ready for me. Go ahead.
Oh, really? Oh, that's what you want to say? Oh, wait. Is that really what you want to say? Oh, my God.
Hey, it's his own one. I love it. He said, I hate to interrupt again, but I love it.
Shut up so I can get to my list. You know what I'm saying? That means I hate to interrupt, but shut up so I get to my list. What about everybody else's list? What about everybody else's list? Why everything got to sit around you?
Skip the line.
Is that you yellow skin?
Hey man,
is that the yellow skin?
Hey bro, I went next to last the last show. By the way, I'm just letting you know that. So I'm just trying to be fair. I went next to last the last show. That's all I'm saying.
All right, cool, man. I got your back on this. Also,
where's my list?
I am flying blind. I can't see the chat right now, especially when I'm showing this. All right. So DMV, we kicking it off with you.
List, man. Nah, forget DMV's list, man. Put OC list up there, man.
No. Damn, we just gonna throw. We let DMV to the side up.
That's the homie. The OC ain't gonna break nothing, Tuck. We ain't letting him break nothing today, dog. He doing too much, man. For real. OC need to go sit down somewhere. That's my homie though. All day one. All right, hold on. Let me get that effect back in there. So we got to show DMV come up in. Boom. Say, listen.
Right. Look at that beard. Look at that beard.
Say, man, I colored it myself, bro. I flying through you free agents.
All right, yeah, man. So pretty much like we talk about this. We talk about continuity all the time. So Dante Fowler was on the list just in case we want to kind of keep things a little bit similar. But I know most of us, we kind of want to see him go. We want to get some fresh legs.
No, I want him to stay.
I want him back.
Hell yeah, I want him back.
Y'all want him back?
What?
Yeah, I like go-to Fowler,
man.
Fowler's only 27.
Shoot, give me Fowler all day.
I want Fowler back.
Yes.
Okay, so all of y'all want Fowler back. Yes. I'm on the. I can take him back, but if we find something in the draft, I'm cool either way. You know, I'm not like he's a priority to go ahead and get. Kind of like we signed him last year. But other guys, I got Deshaun Hand, who was he was a first rounder. He had some injury problems, but that seems like a Stephen Jones special right there, where you can get a former first round talent.
Yeah, that's
cheap.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's Stephen Jones.
And then this guy Stephen Jones, bro, all day. And then Matthew Ioannidis, man. Ioannidis, somebody who was a thorn in our side with Washington. But more than anything, he's going to fit my theme today. I feel like we talked about it a little bit with Micah Parsons, and this is leading into it. We need more bodyguards for him. I feel like Micah got worn down being the bodyguard for everybody else. But we need to be able to get bodyguards around him so he can move around. Matthew Ioannidis allows that, with Washington's pass rush over there. He was kind of an unsung hero as a guy that had depth. He can move inside. He's good on the stunts. So he's a guy that we should look for. And money-wise, he's going to look good on the books.
That's what's up,
so
man.
That's it for my free agents.
Now we're going to go through your drafts because that's what everybody here for. Here we go.
Absolutely.
All right. And then we go tag team your draft picks too.
All right. BJ Ojulari, bro. I feel like when I watched him, I call him the toolbox, bro, the toolkit, bro. When you watch him and you watch his moves, he got counter moves. It looked like when he going up against people that it's like the dummy drill. You know what I'm saying? Not just that, though. In the run game, your man can stand and hold his own. I feel like he got hidden within LSU for some odd reason, but you see he wearing that number 18. When you wear that number 18 over there with LSU, that means you a dog. Right. That means you a dog.
He is.
You know what I'm saying? So for him, he got that long arm move, you know what I'm saying? Where he got the long arm and he holds you like a little boy, like he's doing to the tackle right here. He's great on run fits because we talking football jargon here. So he's great on run fits. He can play the RPO. And then in the pass rush game, like I said, man, he can hit you with the swipe.
And his brother's pretty good
rip
too.
Through the bend. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing too, man. We can't be afraid of pedigree. We can't be afraid of blood and pedigree because that's what's winning in the NFL today.
Mm-hmm. And see, I got him.
So anybody else can jump in?
Yeah, I'm jumping in.
I feel you
because I got him on my list too. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, he's the only defensive end I gave 3 stars to.
I see it.
You see it?
Oh wait.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he could be the best I think he could be the best defensive player in the draft. Yeah. Ceiling wise, I think so.
Ceiling wise, I can see it too. Yeah, I can see it too. Now, I guess it depends on the eyes. My eyes really love what I see in his game. I see game change in his game. I saw a lot of counter moves. I saw a guy that was great with his hands, good bend, real good bend. You know, my thing was, does he have the raw traits to really translate to the next level? That's my question with him. But everything else I see, the hustle, the tenacity, you know, I see a lot in his game. So now I definitely have him on my list. So I'm gonna go ahead and scratch him off my list as talking about him, because you already talked about him. I know you had some on him, Big.
BJ, I mean, I didn't see him toward the end. Kind of DMV turned me on. I had heard about him, but once I heard kind of DMV kind of talk about him, I agree, especially with when you're wearing the number 18. When you're wearing the number 18, Damone Clark wore it last year. We saw what he did when he came in out of nowhere, being injured, and it was rightfully so. So you just look how he did that quick dip underneath that tackle, man. That was beautiful. Show that dip.
Cold, bro.
I like him, bro.
That dip.
I gave him 3 stars.
That got me excited when he did that dip. Watch that. Yep.
Yeah.
Get up under there. Get up and get up. You see that quarterback got spooky. He just threw it out there. He said, I don't want no parts of that. And just like you said, I feel like he has the total game.
Yeah.
He's a big body guy. He's a nice, strong guy. And then I think what DMV said, we can't be afraid of those traits. There's a lot of players coming in that were dads were in the NFL, brothers played in the league. There's a lot of that going on, like in the last 5 to 10 years. A lot of that is happening now. And when you see that pedigree, it means something. And you see his brother was turning up over there at the Giants, correct? He was over there turning up.
Jeez,
and I don't feel like you can fall off with this guy. And LSU, they put out some pretty good defensive players, don't they?
Yep.
Right? So you feel good about getting a pedigree with you playing with the school like LSU. Oh my God, did you just see that move? Put your hand up and do that again. That just got me excited. Show that again. Put the hand up. He said, shh, be quiet.
Hey,
watch this
and they put him in the interior.
And look at that inside playing over that guard. Woo. Get off me.
Yeah. And so that's the thing when it comes to DJ, man. He's a technician, just like DMV said, man. So he had like 100 pressures, 17 sacks over the last 2 seasons. So he can definitely get to the quarterback. And when you watch him, he's very fundamentally sound. And that bend, man. So a lot of people don't understand when we talk about football jargon. That is it. That's the bend. So if you guys watched the combine just a second ago, what did they have them doing? Running around the hula hoops. They want to see if they can bend those hips and get low and bend back in and get to the quarterback. And he definitely has that. So, you know, I had him marked as a sleeper per se, because I don't understand why he's not being talked about like some of the other prospects.
Me either.
And so, you know, here's what I'll say, y'all. Right now, this is when it's time, and I said this on Twitter, time to go into the bunker, because y'all gonna hear a lot of pollution and outside noise. You know what I'm saying? But trust your eyes. And when it comes to BJ Ojulari, I'm just gonna trust my eyes. Everything right here in front of me, I let the hype do the hype, but I'm trusting my eyes. When you watch this film, I think I watched him versus Florida, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. Yeah, man, he has great film. I love what I saw from this prospect.
And he passed the eye test for sure.
Right.
Yes.
Because you know why? You know why you know he passed the eye test? Because he on every one of our lists high. Right. Every one of us, and we never talk. See, that's how you know he passed the eye test. Is all of us had him ranked high. You had him as a sleeper and kind of like a question mark guy. Like, why is he not rising? I had the same thing in my notes, J Tuck. The exact same question. I don't know why this guy ain't rising. Did you have some, OC?
Yeah, man, I think that he is a fantastic athlete. He's one of those pedigree athletes that come out of LSU. A guy that's fast, that can move, and that has good strength. I think his change of direction is really one of the keys to his game. I think that also he plays very well with his hands at his age. You know, and I think that, you know, the only weakness and knock on him that I have seen, and this is just from what I've seen, I think that sometimes he plays a little bit too high, right? If he's not bending, he's playing a little bit too high. And when he gets to the next level, he's going against grown man. He go get popped in his chest, and they go stop him in his track. So he's going to have to fix his leverage a little bit. But, man, in terms of the raw materials, man, I think he's really good.
We could go back to your list, DMV. All right, and then we'll just double team anybody that's a crossover.
Does anybody know what did he run today? I didn't got the official.
I don't think he ran. He didn't run.
He didn't run. I'm looking. He didn't run.
So he might be here sitting day 2 then, because they're sleeping on him. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right,
If you get a player like him, that'd be 3 LSU guys back to back.
Yeah.
And I'll take it, brother. I'll take it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I'll take it.
Next one on the list, because I know that the Cowboys are gonna love him. Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. You know, he's listed as an edge, but for me, I thought that he was a little bit more effective on the inside. I think in the traditional 3-4, you might be able to put him at a 5, but the things that I saw him do on tape and the games that I watched was Ohio State, Michigan. He's pretty good with the stunts and stuff like that. I don't necessarily know if he has a tool bag when it comes to pass rushing, but I do know that he's stout, he's strong, he's pretty much tough like the Iowa boys are. The only thing and the only questions that I have, and maybe y'all have them, is why he don't play as much. You know, when I'm watching tape and I'm watching these games, I'm like, damn, it don't seem like he in there. And from what I watched today, they were like, he didn't start. So I don't think it has anything to do with ability, but it makes you question whether or not he has the gas tank for the next level. But I do think he's a prospect that we should take serious. My next guy, Felix Anudike-Uzomah. I hope I didn't mess that name up.
That's the guy right there.
That's the
dog, yeah, bro.
You gotta get his name right, bro.
Felix Anudike-Uzomah.
We gotta say it like it's the Princess Amunda or something. but him, the first highlight that I saw from him, because I normally watch highlights first before I go into games, because that's how scouts do. And I saw him do like a jump bend. He like jumped up. It just jumped off the screen. His how explosive he is coming out of you know what I'm saying? Excellent burst, good get off, excellent point of attack. He has really strong hands. And the ability, in my opinion, to be a 2-gap player with his strength and leverage. His leverage really stood out to me out of any of the draft picks, how he uses his leverage. And not only can he set the edge in the run game, but he can be a disruptor. You know what I'm saying? Texas Tech, if you watch the Texas Tech film, they had to keep 2 guys on him at all times, bro.
Right, like, and he still had 3 sacks.
Problem in that game. Yeah.
Still had 3 sacks.
He plays a lot of snaps.
Jay Tuck did the Texas Tech.
This is the 2021. This is the 2021 Texas Tech, but he dominated Texas Tech this past season as well when he had the 3-sack game. And the play is coming up here from the film I cut, man, when he blows through and gets the safety. But I agree with DMV, man. I love everything I see from Felix. And the one thing I love, once again, is that arm length and using the leverage with his hands, man, because he keeps that outside arm free and his motor doesn't stop. So this play right here where I cut, he got tossed down, but he got right back up. Even though he didn't make the play, the effort is there. You know what I'm saying? So I got to watch him up close when he played versus Kansas this past season as well, man. I'm like, who the hell is that? And I circled his name, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like I saw a Big Game James drop a video and I was already cutting up the film. This is definitely a prospect that I think will be available for the Dallas Cowboys because he's not going to put up the freakish numbers. We were talking beforehand. I don't think he ran. But look at this play right here, y'all. And that's why I said, I don't give a damn about the numbers. Look at this right here. This is pure nasty. 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 Like, that's nasty. Yeah. So I love
and I love his sack dance too. He got a great sack dance too.
Oh yeah, that shit ass raw, bro. I'm gonna learn that. I'm gonna learn it if you get in Dallas.
That sack dance is beastie, dog.
Yeah, man. It's like that's grimy right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he blew that
in the trenches. So he's a football player, man. So I love Felix, man. He's actually from Kansas City. He from Lee Summit. So I know a lot of people want to hear his name called here to be the local hometown kid to be drafted and walk across that stage. But he's one of my favorite prospects at the edge position. So
since you did this breakdown, man, go ahead and break this down, and then I'm gonna give you my breakdown on him too, Tuck.
Yeah, he's extremely raw. He's young. He's only 21 years old. He just turned 21 in January, so he's very young. Has a lot of upside potential. Great bend off the edge, as I already mentioned. He's more of a speed rusher. He's not really a bull guy, but he has a mixed toolbox, man. He can do a lot of things, and what I really like about him is the hands. He's violent with his hands, and he's a very versatile pass rusher. He can stand up. He likes to loop. They did a lot of inside stunts at Kansas State when it comes to him. Like I said, the one thing that's kind of knock on him, he's just not a freakish athlete. I'm not sure of his measurements. I didn't lock everything in for the combine before we jumped on. And he gets upfield a little bit because he's coming to the quarterback. So, in run game, he's a little bit limited, but he is a 3-down defensive end. He's not just a specific pass rusher. So I feel like if Dan Quinn is able to get his hands on this type of toolbox and this type of player, the upside is crazy, y'all. And so I definitely love Felix because he's a hard worker. He has an engine. Like I said, Kansas City kid, man, everything is there. His last 2 seasons, he was very productive, 13 sacks in 2021. I love his prospect, and if you're able to get him in Dallas, there you go, OC and Big Game James. Your D-Law replacement's right there in front of your face.
That's funny you
Yes,
said
sir.
D-Law. That's funny you said D-Law, bro, because, see, this is the notes that I wrote on him. And
He's
we don't
probably
talk
like
about
a D-Law.
this. We don't talk about this. Like, I didn't talk to Tuck about this. I said Felix was swallowed up by the offensive line when I watched his games. But you can see he still has the traits in him, especially as a run stop. I gave him 2 stars. As an overall fit for the Dallas Cowboys, he is a traditional 4-3 defensive end, similar to DeMarcus Lawrence.
There you go. It's your insurance policy.
It does, and so that's how you know people eyes do align. Because you mentioned Tank as the replacement. I said this could be a potential long-term Tank replacement. Did you have something on him, Big?
Oh man, Tuck said it all for real.
Yeah, he killed
and
it.
I think the biggest thing, you know how the Cowboys love to stunt. He is absolutely great at stunting. He is absolutely great at stunting. And the Cowboys love to stunt. And just all-out effort. And like you said, he's not a freakish athlete. He's a tiny bit stiff. He's got bend, but he's a tiny bit stiff. He's a tiny bit stiff. But you can see the bend, but he's a tiny bit stiff. But the kid does not. He's got a all-out motor. He plays to the. He does not stop, and that's what you want. And he has really good size for the position. You're talking about a 6'3", 6'4" guy. He's about 255, so you can definitely hold down the edge. And I think they tried to do with Chauncey Golston. They were trying to make him like the DeMarcus Lawrence replacement, but I said Chauncey Golston was better inside when he was coming out the draft, and they slid him inside. This, like you guys said, this can be your DeMarcus Lawrence replacement because he does all those things that Lawrence has, but I think he gives you a little bit more pass rush right now in the game, in the college game right now. And he's a 3-down guy. He's not a guy that you can just sit there and play 1 down. Once he gets on the field, you're going to want to keep this guy on the field. I guarantee you that.
Yep, agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just think, just to be brief, I think he's an effort guy. I don't see his pass rush translating very well to the next level because I think he plays with high hips and tight hips. I don't see him being great with his hands versus decent tackles. But he's a high effort guy. He's a high motor guy. He's a guy that's going to give you everything he got. So I like that about him, but I don't see the translation. I think he's going to need time to develop his pass rush game on the next level. Go ahead.
All right, here we go. Going back to your list, D. So, let's see, but he's another one that was on all of our lists.
All right, and mainly, like I talked about it, the thing for me is finding bodyguards, guys that are going to help Micah Parsons. I'm about building around him. And so I think that the list that I have is mainly the windows around the 2nd to 4th round, 5th round, you know what I'm saying, day 2.
Yeah.
And this guy, Tuli Polotu, from USC. I hope I said his name right. I probably messed it up, butchered it. But sometimes I feel like you need some of these Samoan guys, some of these guys with big bones around you. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look at every great defense, for the most part, they had one of these type of guys. And I don't think that, like he has elite pass rushing skills or anything like that. But he's a big guy. Insanely quick hands. He has a massive frame. You know what I'm saying? He's big to move. Now, he's not a big athlete. He's not great in space or anything like that. But he has a high motor. And all of the guys that I have here have a high motor. That's what we need on this defense to continue to get better at stopping the run. Because that was an Achilles heel for us, you know what I'm saying, a big portion of the year last year. So this is a guy right here that can kind of set the edge and be one of those guys that can be a bodyguard for Micah Parsons. So like I said, he was stiff. The games that I watched was Washington State and USC. But for the most part, he was an animal in those games if you guys get to the film.
This is my notes on him. I said, if you want to get a preview of what it's like to destroy on tape, watch SC versus Washington. It's a masterclass. This is my initial thoughts of watching that game. Just keep it real. I said, good at the point of attack, amazing hustle, great feet, and great hands. I said average. Let me see. He seems to lack speed coming off the edge, but it's because of his hustle that he'll be a 2nd to 3rd round steal for the Dallas Cowboys. That's my notes on him, from my initial review. So it's just funny how we don't talk, but we seeing similar stuff. Go ahead, though.
Right.
Did you have something
And
on that?
my last.
No, I didn't have anything on Thule.
Okay, go ahead, D.
I mean, I would say this. You could see him as a kind of more of an inside guy as well, but like your DMV said though, it's just that bodyguard from Mike to let Mike be a free runner. So spacey.
All right, and last one, Isaiah Foskey out of Notre Dame. I had him. He's 6'5", 272 pounds, so he's got that frame, that long frame, long arms. I think he's a true stand-up edge. Physically imposing. He looks the part. Like, if you watch him, he stands out. He stands out over everybody. You know what I'm saying? Plays with pretty solid leverage as a rusher. You know what I'm saying? He knows how to dip on the tackle coming off the edge. Has a ton of potential, but he needs to be coached up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think a good coach like Dan Quinn can get, you know what I'm saying, some of the wrinkles out of his game that he needs. Sometimes he, you know, rises up a little bit, gets caught up in his chest. But, I mean, for the most part, I mean, he's a pretty good prospect. Very good motor, you know what I'm saying? And, I mean, the games that I watched, Ohio State, Oklahoma State in 2021, and I watched USC. So I got him late second to third round, and I believe he had a pretty solid day today. I think he ran a 4.6, and he ran around, changed the direction, and everything was pretty good. So he might have made himself some money today.
All right, Tuck, we got you up, big dog.
Okay.
All right, so let me get it ready, man. I should have had you ready. My bad.
You good.
All right, here we go.
My bad, OC.
Yeah, no, that's how Boss Cowboy is. I already know how he is. That's all right.
What I do? Did I skip OC?
Nah, you good.
No, I'm just messing. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead,
bro. J Tuck, we got you.
All right, so my first prospect is a hybrid that, you know, Big Game and OC also talked about, is Drew Sanders out of Arkansas. I love this kid. Now, for all those mock drafters out there, you know, he's been sliding to the second round, third round. I'm here to break the news for you. That ain't happening. You know what I'm
saying? It sounds kind of like this is your pet cat dog.
Yeah, he likes him. He likes him.
I like Drew Sanders, man. He's flexible. I mean, a lot of people call him the white Michael Parsons, man. But
whoa!
No. I'm saying I'm gonna explain kind of why.
He the white lion.
He the white lion. Yeah, we had the grip.
I'll explain the connection here at the end.
Oh hell no!
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm not saying
that.
But a flexible pass rusher. So he started off at Alabama as a defensive end, and then he transferred to Arkansas this past year, and he switched to the linebacker. So he's kind of hybrid, only about 233 pounds. But when you watch him, and this is him. So this is him off the edge, right? So he's just kind of playing off the edge. But, you know, when he was at Alabama, he looked a lot bigger, to be honest with you. But he did a lot of different things. Played next to Will Anderson in a few different reps, but he's actually out of Denton Ryan. So he's from Texas as well. And Denton Ryan puts a lot of high caliber players. And actually, he's good friends with a friend of mine's son, who's going to be the next big linebacker we're going to talk about here in a few years. But, you know, when you watch him play, man, he's just an avalanche is what I call him. He just comes downhill, gets things rolling, violent, high motor, can do a lot of different things. And he has a lot of pressure and can just get to the quarterback. So, you know, going back to what Big Game and OC said, if you're looking to add another chess piece, Drew Sanders definitely fits the bill. Now, here's the biggest problem with it. When you watch him on film, he's very green at the linebacker position. So there's going to be a lot of coaching that's going to be needed for him. And that right there, if you kind of rewind that, boss, he tips
he
a little bit. He shows his hand a lot and missteps a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because you already know you come in. Like I told, you know, people when I did my film breakdown, at the NFL level, that's check, Mike. You know what I'm saying? Because they know that he's coming. So he has a lot of work to clean up at the linebacker position. He also missed a lot of tackles last year. He's just playing way too fast. Like I said, Dan Quinn could get his hands around a prospect like this or any defensive coordinator and have great upside when it comes to Drew Sanders. So he was one of my first edge rushers, quote unquote, that I had to list. Zone awareness, he can drop back in zone, probably play like your Tampa 2. You know, he's not going to be out in cover, so you're not going to put him on a slot or anything. But sideline to sideline, he can definitely do a lot of things. And so 39 pressures, 9.5 sacks, and 103 tackles. Now, where is my Micah comparison coming from? Is because he signed with Athletes First. And for those of you who do not know, Athlete First, that's the agency for Micah Parsons. They have now Drew Sanders, and they also got Nolan Smith as well. So they about to get their money. And so Athletes First is really locking in on these young linebackers, man, and getting them ready for the NFL draft. And I think Drew Sanders possibly could be the first quote-unquote linebacker off the board.
Damn. All right. Nolan Smith. You know everybody want to talk about Mr. Nolan Smith.
Yeah, Mr. Smith, man. So Nolan Smith. Now, to be honest with you guys, man, the film
light in the pants, though.
Huh? Yeah, he's light. He's super light, right? He's super light, and he really doesn't jump. But to see the way that he tested today, because he got injured, I think he had a torn pec this past year as well. But he doesn't jump off the screen, but you see everything there. So it's kind of going back to the comparison that we talked about with Felix, right? When you're looking for a freak athlete, Nolan's just a freak athlete. You know what I'm saying? Felix is the complete football player, but an NFL scout and NFL team's going to see the intangibles and the athleticism of Nolan Smith and think, I can coach that. I can fix that up. So it's all there, to be honest with you. He's fast. He plays fast. He flies to the ball. He has the dip, has the pass rush. Once again, like Big Game James said, he's small. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what is he going to be at the NFL level, especially out the gate. Like, I don't think he's enough to play just a primary off the edge. So he might just come in certain packages, but he definitely made some money today. He made a whole lot of money today. Yeah. And the one thing I really don't see as of yet is the explosiveness off the ball. Like, as soon as the ball is snapped,
excellent
I don't
point.
See the first step. You know what I'm saying? But they like combine numbers, but the first step, explosiveness, you don't see it. But he's a mold of clay that a lot of teams are going to want to get their hands on.
Yeah, man, my notes on him. Go ahead, Big.
No, I ain't got nothing to say. I just sound like how Tuck broke that down.
Yeah, Tuck killed it, man. Tuck in the back for all day long. All right, here we go. So my notes on him is Nolan might be a great value, and he's more of a 3-4 outside linebacker than a traditional defensive end. He has all the measurables you want to see, and he lacked production similar to because Georgia rotates their front, and we know that. Mm-hmm. Same thing happened with Dean, and the rotation could be limited from really get going. So I was saying that might be kind of what deterred his production. Then I said that he basically fits Dan Quinn athletically, but not with the production. I gave him a 3rd round grade. So the film on him says 3rd round to me, just being honest.
Right. The film says,
I got second and third. I got second and third, bro.
That's what your film said too. See?
Yeah,
absolutely.
But yeah, the film says second and third. You know what I'm saying? So
but the measurables go jack him up.
Yeah. Oh, he's out of there now. You know what I'm saying? Like he gonna be first round. So
yeah.
Top 15 possibly. Top 15 maybe.
Because originally the conversation was about Will Anderson, Tyree Wilson. I didn't include them. I feel like those two they up there, right? But when it comes to Myles Murphy, I feel like Nolan Smith might have just jumped Myles Murphy when it comes to, being the 1st round pick as well. So I feel like Nolan Smith definitely made him some money because, like I said, with that athleticism and those numbers, they just gonna say, you know what, just give me that kid, I'll fix it. So
absolutely,
that's exactly what they're gonna say. So let's go back to your list, Big Dog. I'm gonna just go ahead and showcase this whole list. Give me 1 second, man. I should have had it up. I always be messing up, bro. I be trying to do too much.
Cooking.
And we talked about Felix.
Yeah, we did Felix. We did Drew, and then I think Will McDonald from Iowa State should be on my list as well.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I like Will McDonald as well.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. Like I said, I was kind of busy today. I didn't see what he did at the combine, but I think DMV, you said he interviewed, right? But I didn't see
Will McDonald did some drills too. He did some drills.
He did drills. Okay, I didn't see the drills. Yeah, but he was a kid, I watched in the Big 12 as well at Iowa State, saw him versus Kansas State, TCU, and Texas, man, but had a highly productive year, over 35 tackles in his career, 35 sacks total in his career. Very high motor guy. Once again, he's kind of that outside linebacker, wide 9 type of defensive end, but unlike Nolan Smith, he does have a very explosive first step. It can get off the ball quick. And so I like what I saw from Will McDonald. But once again, here we are, 6'3", 236 pounds. Is he going to be an edge rusher? Is he going to be a line?
Yeah,
it's more that 3-4. So does he fit what the Cowboys do? Not necessarily, but could he definitely add value, and Dan Quinn can scheme up something for him? Yeah, absolutely, because it's all there when you watch the film when it comes to Will McDonald out of Iowa State.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Huh?
I was gonna. I'm gonna let OC go. Then I have a question for everybody.
Yeah, so I agree with you on the Will McDonald pick. I got him 3 on my list, Tuck. I think that he's really good in space as a linebacker. I think he wins at the top of pass rushes, and that's really unique to see a linebacker of his size. He plays stronger than he is in terms of his weight. So he has a motor. He's super scrappy. He wins at the top of pass rushes. He does have, in my opinion, a few good different moves, and he can play underneath. And that's what you want. So I feel like the hybrid type model is going to be the best model for the Cowboys. And when we get to my list, I'll talk more about that. But he's a guy that you can put and let him rush. He's a guy you also can put at linebacker and still have some competency there from the linebacker position, Will or Sam, in my opinion. So I like him a lot. I think that he's going to be a good player.
Did you have anything on him, Big? Did you have him on your list?
Yeah, he was on my list. He was one of my second guys. One thing I liked about him, Tuck really hit on it with his first step, his speed. His speed is really his asset. Speed. When he gets off the edge, he's up after you, and he's quick. Now, I think Iowa State did him a disservice because they were sliding him inside. He played multiple positions along the line, and he played inside, and that did not help him at all. Those guards were swallowing him because he's just too small for that. But he was still scrappy enough. That's what I liked about it. He still fought in there with his size. He's better to me, just like when y'all talking about the linebacker position. When you seen him put his hand in the dirt, he's nice. But he's even better when he can stand up and move on the outside of that end. He's even better when you can have him right there. And that's what I like about him. Now, he is a little bit light, and I think that's the thing you're going to worry about. But when we're talking about the hybrid position, remember we talked about with Micah Parsons, I said that you need to get a guy that can do multiple things, play some linebacker, play some edge. Those are the type of guys that are coming into the league right now that can play multiple positions. And that's what the Cowboys need, because Dan Quinn really likes that. If you see Quinn, he really likes where he can mix and match and use you as a different piece, like kind of like chess pieces. And I think that's where Will McDonald can have a place with the Cowboys, because you can flex him out as a linebacker, or you can set him in on a third down and say, hey, just go after the quarterback on this down, just get after him. And that speed is really, that's why I really wanted to see him run, because that speed in the game was like, wow, I want to see what he could really run in the 40 time, because when he comes off that edge, he comes like a bat out of hell.
Man, that's crazy, man. I didn't even give him 3 stars, bro. Or 2 stars or 1 star. So the way y'all talking about him, I'm going to go take another look at him, just to be honest. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you miss. You know what I mean? I'm going to go take a look at him, because what I saw him is undersized. And I felt like he needed to definitely beef up his physique to be ready to play on the next level.
The chat is mentioning something. How much does Hassan Reddick weigh? Is he around?
That's a good question. Like 240? 240, I think.
240, 250.
That's
240, 250. Somewhere there.
Okay.
That's a good comp. So if they looking at his weight.
Yeah, because with the hybrid size, and also with like Nolan Smith, like that 230, 240. Because of course these kids gonna put on an extra 4 pounds. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what is the kind of size of some of those speedy guys like Hassan Reddick and other guys out there? Because it's a copycat league. The NFL been trying to find the next one, so that might be working some of these guys' favor with this kind of hybrid. Because there's a lot of hybrids right now. And that's when you watch the combine a second ago. You had linebackers and defensive ends, and it made it all messy. But a lot of different linebackers and defensive ends are starting to do similar things. So, that's where the NFL is really headed.
Yeah, so Hassan Reddick is only 240 based on internet. He's 240.
Yeah, so they're saying that Reddick was 6'1", 237 at the combine when he combine. So
that's a good size.
Before we jump into big games list, I have a question for everybody, because it seems like everybody watched a lot of McDonald. Did anything jump out at y'all else on tape when y'all was watching them? Like, did y'all see another player for Iowa State?
That number 3?
Yeah, MJ
side?
Anderson.
Yes, that number 3 on the opposite side.
Yeah, hey.
He's
He's a sleeper, and he looked good today. MJ Anderson. If you guys haven't, go back and watch Will McDonald. MJ Anderson, that motor is crazy, bro.
Crazy.
I don't know why people ain't talking about him, but yeah, he stood out to me.
Yes. He stood out when I watched that game that I did the film. I was watching him on the opposite side when McDonald would go take a break. And I'm like, who is this dude right here? Because as soon as McDonald comes out, he comes in and he's super aggressive. He's super
At times
aggressive.
he looked better. At times he looked better than McDonald.
And he looks bigger. He looked bigger than McDonald.
He's bigger, yeah.
And he has no problem in that run game where you see McDonald get swallowed up. That's not him. He ain't getting swallowed up. He is blowing up that ball carrier and he jumping around. Yeah, I feel you, DMV. I was seeing that because I was like, who's that number 3 on the opposite side, though?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, every game that I watch, I'm like,
go
back and watch MJ Anderson.
When you're not trying to find them. I love those. I wrote that down, dude. Yeah, because see, when you find them ones you ain't looking for, they the truth.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so we got you, big. All right, so Felix.
Right.
So most of these we already talked about. So
let's talk about Kobe. I got Kobe Wooden. He's the last guy I put on there.
Yep.
Now he's a sleeper to me. A lot of people ain't talking about him. I think he ran like a 4.79 today. But the thing I like about Kobe, I think he's a coach's dream. He's a guy. He's 6'4". He's 275 pounds. So he's definitely a meaty guy, and he plays violent. He plays violent with his hands. He plays violent in the run game. You can slide him on the inside. Now he's not super fast guy coming off the edge. Not super bendy, but that motor is crazy. And I like guys that have motors, man. I like guys who don't take plays off. I love guys that just keep coming at you every single play. And that's what when I saw him, I said, this dude could eventually be a player later on. Not early, but if you can sprinkle him in some plays, man, I really think you can have something with this guy, especially you can scoop him later. Remember, I said you don't have to jump out and get a defensive end on the first round if you don't want. But this is a guy, if you look at him later in the middle rounds, this is a guy that will be sneaky good for you if you could get him like in a 4th round. Trust me, this kid plays violent, and that hand work is crazy.
Mm-hmm. And there's another. He was on my list. I'm not sure if you caught him, boss, but there's another edge rusher outside of him at Auburn, and that's Derek. Derek Hall.
Was he on your sleeper?
Yeah.
He might have been. He should have been my main list, but it's all good because you know what I'm saying. Like
he ran good today too. He ran good today.
Yeah, he ran like a 4 or something, 5, didn't he?
Yeah, he's one of those that kind of had tucked out, but he might be out of there too. It's cool, bro. Yeah, Derek Hall, and he also interviewed with the Dallas Cowboys as well. So,
Derek Hall, you probably seen it. I probably didn't catch it. My bad.
It's cool. Yeah, Derek Hall, man. So Derek Hall. I love Derek Hall's film, man. He gets off the ball quick. He's explosive, tenacity, violent, all the things you like in an edge rusher. And like I said on Twitter today, I was like, man, Dan Quinn, because last year when I watched Dan Quinn and I saw Sam Williams, I was like, that's it. You know what I'm saying? That's the matchup right there. You know what I'm saying? Like when I watched Derek Hall play, I just know that Dan Quinn somewhere, he probably wasn't at the combine, but his eyes is lighting up watching this player. Now, he earned himself some money today too as well at the combine because he tested very well, drills as well. A lot of people question how fluid his hips were. Drills were smooth. Everything's he pretty much aced it. So it's going to be interesting. But if he's sitting there day 2, definitely keep your eye on Derek Hall out of Auburn as well. So I just want to toss that out there because we're talking about Auburn. So
Derek Hall. Appreciate that, big dog.
And he was voted first team SEC by the coaches too. That should tell you something because that was a hell of a conference this year. It's always a hell of a conference, but I felt like this year it was more special than other years. And they voted him first team SEC at Auburn. So that might get over people's heads because he was at Auburn. But yeah, Derek Hall definitely had some good tape, man. Definitely.
And also the little things, man. He did a combine with his chains on. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's the little things.
Yeah,
it's the little things.
You went out there and killed the combine with your chains on, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of likely. Jamar Chase had his hat on when he did his pro day. Like, this is easy work, man. So
that's a damn good free agent list too, big. We ain't gonna talk about it, but that's a damn good list. because we decided today we ain't gonna spend too much time on that. Just today. All right.
We ain't spending money.
Ain't nobody talked about Will Anderson.
Because we ain't getting him.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I don't think we have a shot. I don't think we have a shot at
We ain't
him.
getting him.
The Dallas Cowboys are
today. What did he run today?
Like a 4.6.
They give him.
I mean, unless he smokes some weed or he have a trap. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
he ain't coming to Dallas.
Yeah.
Y'all like him like
Cowboys are
that?
free.
Y'all like him like that?
It ain't about you like him
think-
like that. He's not gonna fall
I
to
think the
Dallas.
league likes
You
him
don't
like
think-
that.
You
Yeah.
think the league like him like that?
Yes,
Hell
they
yeah.
do.
Yeah. Because I
Well,
was
if I didn't
saying,
have to go last, he would have been on my list. He was tops on my list.
Bro, they
so.
comparing him to Von Miller. They comparing him to Von
They
Miller, bro.
tripping, bro. I don't see all that. But
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm cool.
I mean, because honestly, I said it at the combine. I was like, man, if I was his agent, I would have told him take his cleats off, we're done, because he was kind of flopping a little bit. But once again, he tested with the linebackers, not the defensive ends or the edge rushers. You know what I'm saying? So he was going with the smaller guys, but he ran that higher force, and he only ran it once. So he ran that 4.6, and he took his shoes off. So it was like, all right, where are we going with this? Drills were a little funky. But
It was really a 4.7. It was really a 4.7.
It was really a 4.7. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He was like, nah, I'm done. So, but, you know,
I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it real. Just keeping it real. Ooh, I'm just keeping it real. So I already told you I gave BJ 3 stars. I felt you on that Isaiah Foskey for Notre Dame. I felt you DMV on Tula. Miles Murphy from Clemson. I don't know why none of y'all ain't talking about him, but it's all good though. Y'all need to go check him out. And then obviously I got Felix on my list as well. You know what I mean? So same Miles.
Miles is hella inconsistent.
What you?
Yeah, man. Miles ain't did nothing.
I thought Miles is more.
He's
I thought he was more of an interior. He seemed more of an interior to me. Yeah.
Now, we can have a convo about Tyree Wilson. He was another one we ain't getting, so that's why I didn't put him on my list. Tyree Wilson out of Texas
we ain't got a shot, bro. We ain't got a shot in hell.
Hey, I ain't even.
I know, right?
Wait, is his
top
take
15.
that good? What am I missing?
It ain't about that. They love him.
They
love him in the streets.
Is his tape? Because I ain't seeing why they love him. I'm trying to figure out why.
The athletes, bro. That's where.
Is
it's
that
really
all
at.
it is?
Well, that's
Jesus.
the same thing. But like, case in point, Lucas Van Ness, that DMV mentioned, right? He ain't played over 50 snaps in one game, but why is he probably going to go first round? Because of them measurables. You know what I'm saying? He built like a damn, you know what I'm saying, Dragon Ball Z character, and NFL teams like, you know what? I'm just going to take him and I'm just going to mold him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a hockey player that's been playing football for 2 and never started and about to be a first round draft pick. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I swear, shit.
The league has a type, bro. The league has a type.
They got a type, bro. They got a type.
I smell hype.
Yeah.
Hey, boss.
I'm being honest, bro.
I got some notes for Tyree. I got some notes for Tyree Wilson that you can probably like, but he's much better. You know what I'm saying, when he's in his 4-point stance or when he's when he's coming from a stance. When he stands up, he look like a baby giraffe.
I'm telling you, womp womp.
Yeah.
I'm just keeping it real, bro. Maybe I need to go watch some more tape, but I'm just being honest about
I watched it and I was watching. I'm like, Texas Tech don't know what the hell to do with him. That's why I think people love him, because I'm watching. I'm like, what is Texas Tech doing, bro? Just line him up down. Do not stand him up. He looks terrible. But other than that, I thought he was pretty good. I got big as an MFer. That's on my notes. Big as an MFer.
That's it.
That's all big. That's it. Big and I'm sick of it. OC, did you have something on that, bro? Or you?
I was gonna say, boss, man. Can we keep it real as a family and to say this class ain't like the last 3 years, y'all?
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Wait, but here's the thing, though. Hold up, Tuck. It may not be that, Tuck. But here's the thing: it's a lot of depth. And if we're talking about getting a defensive end, you said not getting a defensive end early, right? You could really work your magic in the middle rounds with some of these DNs, speed, everything. So this is where you can really clean up. So it's not fantastic, but it's a lot of meat in that DN, and you can scoop up maybe 1 or 2 in them late rounds and feel good.
See, big, because when you said last week, you said this class was deep. I was like, wait.
It is. It is too.
But it took me a while while to figure out what you were saying. It
Yeah,
took me a while.
yeah.
This is what Big is saying. This is where he right on. It's not as deep in terms of top level defensive ends. That part is not deep. But you right. Second, third, fourth, shit, it's nice.
Right.
Yeah.
In the rounds.
It's nice. Yeah, so in the middle round. So at first when you said last week, you said, man, this defensive end class, we need to talk about that. I was like, wow. But I get it.
Like I said,
depth, I get it. No, I get
depth.
it. It took me a second
We've
to
been
catch up to
talking
you,
about
bro.
we need depth, right? We've
No,
been
you
talking
right.
about we need depth.
Yeah.
And this is a depth type class where you can scoop a couple guys depth wise and really help your team.
Gotcha. Hey, so you right on that, man. It took me a while to catch up. So check this out. So you know me, man. I'm gonna be quick, and I'm gonna be real quick on this. I think it should be. You know, I meant that too. We like our guys, bro. You know, I meant that, bro. To me, just to me, I don't know why it should be way more people wanting Fowler back. In my opinion, I think Fowler makes so much sense, especially when you go look at the available free agents. He also wants to come back to Dallas.
Absolutely.
He make the most sense
Make
out
that
of
happen.
everybody.
You right.
Make that
You
happen.
right.
Bring him back.
Make
So that we can just basically be like, we ain't got to worry about pass rush. We know, based on a limited amount of snaps that he got, that he
Cut
was
your
very productive.
Nah, he got the wild hair. He got the gold in
Get a
his mouth.
haircut.
Hey,
nappy beard.
I'm not gonna lie. That Florida picture, I thought that was Boss, bro. I thought that was Boss.
Wait, man.
With the box cut. Hell yeah. Look at Boss Cowboys.
Man, don't look like me, man.
Yeah, Boss Cowboys play for Florida.
Doing too much, DMV. You're doing too much, bro. Come on now.
No, stay with it, DMV. Stay with it. Don't run from DMV.
Boss gonna be in Creed 3 tomorrow, man.
Hell yeah.
Man, y'all doing too much, bro. Y'all doing way too much on your
That's
boy.
when he played in college too. That's before he transferred.
All right, so here we go. All right, so my free agent list is fire, but I ain't gonna even talk about it. Ooh, so we gonna go to the OC. But look at this, look at that. Ooh, boy, my free agent list monster.
Yeah,
but we'll
I
talk about
almost
that.
got
Jordan Phillips, you ain't getting him. So cut it
Why
out.
not?
Why?
Why?
He gonna want money.
Ain't got
Man,
no money.
that boy market is looking good right now at his old age. But I ain't gonna fight about that list. I ain't gonna even fight about that list. That's my wish list.
Get OC because OC got his stuff now.
OC want to go first, man. He got the man going last, man.
He did it on purpose, bro.
Hey, the best for last.
Hold on.
The best
The
for
OC
last.
sent me and see, the OC sent me his list last, so he got to go last. That's how it works.
No, bro. I ain't gotta go last, bro. No, you tripping. But anyway, man.
What you
So
mean? I had to
Will
put this
Anderson,
together.
man.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Will
I had to put
Anderson,
this
man.
together.
Let's talk about
No,
my
we gonna
list.
say
Let's talk
hold
about
up
my
in
list.
here. You send me your
No,
list last, so you last.
No, don't put your
How
finger
you
in me.
gonna
Ain't
be
your
first
son.
and you sent
So
me the list
listen,
last? How you gonna do that?
No, bro. I sent you
Yes,
my
you
list
did.
early before, and I still went last. Don't even trip. So let me talk about my list.
Wait. I'm sensing
Will
some
Anderson.
entitlement right here. Wait, we gotta wait. Hell no. We sensing some entitlement right here. What make you supposed to be first?
Hey, man, look, bro.
What make you first?
Listen, we ain't gonna go there. So
Is
listen,
it because
let me
you
talk
yellow
about my list.
skin? I'm trying to figure out what make you first, dog.
Let me talk about my list, dog. So here's the deal. Will Anderson, man, I think that he was mismanaged in the offseason. I think that at the end of the day, man, he won SEC Defensive Player of the Year twice. So I think that, man, he shows a lot of ability, man, going bull rush to speed to power. I mean, he's more of a better, in my opinion, more ready to play the run on the line of scrimmage than when you have like a Micah Parsons come out, man. He's very, very disruptive, super quick upfield. So I like Will Anderson a lot. All right, so Andre Carter, which is a guy that was on nobody's list, he's a hybrid, man. Andre Carter III, man. He's 6'6", around 260, showed the ability to rush the passer, did extremely well, man, in my opinion, playing in space as well. So if you talk about a guy that could play in space, that could play underneath, I like Will Anderson and also Andre Carter. Both those guys do a really, really good job. And I think, in my opinion, if you guys got a chance to look at Andre Carter, he's the most skilled in terms of his pass rush moves and in terms of covering zone coverage underneath coming out of Army, man. I like him a lot. I think he's a guy that should.
He got to go to the military, though?
No. The other guy, no, he had Army. Yeah, Army.
Yeah, got it right here.
That's what I'm saying.
He's at Army.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, if he plays for Army, don't he have those obligations?
I'm not sure about his obligations, big, but I'm telling you, man, the dude got skills as a hybrid to rush the passer and to play in space. So I'm not sure about his military stuff, but I like him a whole lot, man. I will say that. We already talked about Will McDonald.
Really? A little soft.
I like him a lot.
I'm gonna go look at him.
He's raw, but I like him. He's raw, but I like him.
Soft OC though. Okay. You don't think he's a little soft OC?
It's just a talent, man.
I said soft too, big.
Do I think he's a little soft? Well, think about this. I think that he is a better version of Anthony Barr when Anthony Barr was playing at his best, but I think he's a slightly better pass rusher. I think that if he would have played in a tougher conference, he would have got more recognition. So I think he is basically.
I agree with that.
His ceiling is Anthony Barrish, but he's a better pass rusher than Anthony Barr was in terms of when he was at his best. So that's my comp for him. Right?
I just missed
in college?
Hold on.
College?
Is this because he's from Missouri City?
No, it's not because he's from Houston. I didn't even know he was from Houston, by the way. So no, it's definitely not because he's from Houston. I'm thinking that, man, I think he has a lot of potential, man. I like his upside.
Cause see, when the OC talk like this, I'm gonna go do my homework again. Cause the OC,
check him out.
Cold. OC got some nice
size,
bro.
Linebacker
He only had 3 sacks.
They was trying to play him
man. I think. Listen, linebacker and our rusher, man. I think that he has raw material.
They drop him a lot.
Let's see what happened.
Yeah, 15 and a half the year before.
Yeah, that's what I just saw. That's what I just saw, big.
Damn.
Look, 15 and a half sacks.
I missed it, bro. I just missed it. This is good with OC.
Who's those games?
Yeah, Andre Carter. So we already talked about.
I can't wait to see
We already talked about Will McDonald. Also, here's the deal. Miles Murphy out of Clemson, man. So the reason why I like him, and I'm going to give an asterisk mark at the end of this, all right? So just bear with me. He's a run-pass prototype guy. Think Max Crosby. If you think about Max Crosby, I think that's probably like his ceiling in the league, right? I think he's raw.
Who you
I think that he's a good.
I'm sorry.
I'm talking about Miles Murphy.
Okay,
from
guys.
Clemson.
Oh, you like Miles Murphy, don't you, boss?
Let me see it. Let me check my notes out. Aqua silence. Y'all can't do me like that.
You gotta say elaborate. You ain't say elaborate.
I know.
All right, so look, I'm gonna talk about it while you look.
Okay.
I know, right?
I'm gonna talk about it while you look. So here's the deal about Miles Murphy. I think that Miles Murphy has won. I think he's won a lot on athleticism playing at Clemson. I think his productivity could be better. To me, I don't think he's as bendy as he needs to be. I think that technically with his hands, because he's a big guy, he's not going to be able to run past elite offensive tackles in the league. But I do like him because he's a hybrid type guy, being 275 pounds, that can also stand up very well against the run. I think he's a little raw. I think he needs work, but I like his potential. I think he's a good athlete, but he has bad hands. So he is a guy that I like. However, he is a guy that has the highest bust potential that's on my list, all right? Just to be honest with you. And we already talked about BJ O'Leary out of LSU, so that's it.
Yeah, man.
And the chat saying when it comes to the Army rules, they changed it so he doesn't have to go.
Yeah, they say he was grandfathered in, so he's cool.
Cool. All right, so we gonna get into these final words. Oh man, I ain't show laws. Let me show law. I'm gonna do law so fast. It's gonna be so lightning fast.
I bet you
law got law. Ooh, I'm gonna do law. Law gonna be like, you was wrong as hell. I'm like, yeah, bro. I was ready to go, dog.
I bet you got Tyree Wilson.
Let me see.
I told you.
There it is.
Where you from? Mississippi. Where Tyree from?
Yep.
We from Mississippi. Anything with Mississippi, law gonna pick it, dog. Anything. Where you from? Mississippi, dog. Oh man, that did me crazy, dog. All right, man. Final words. On my final words, I'll start like this. I think I'm leaning with you, J Tuck. I don't kind of sense the crisis with defensive end, but listening at y'all debate, I can see where targeting a quality defensive end does make sense, though. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because at first I was all the way with you, Tuck. I was like, we good. But hearing Big and hearing the OC like counter argue your point, yeah, I think we probably need to take defensive end just a little bit more serious, but I'm not in a panic. That's what I'm gonna say about defensive end. And I definitely also say with today, looking at the defensive end list, I think you're 100% on point, Big, where this is not a super top end heavy draft like it was last year, with at least 3 to 4 top quality, at least measured and productive defensive end. This one is your depth class. This is your development class. And this will be perfect for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm thinking around round 3, round 4. That's my final word. And I'll go with you, Tuck.
Yeah, so to go back to the whole argument, I still think the Cowboys are going to address the defensive end position. I just don't think it's a priority. And going back to what Big Game James said, how deep this class is, you can get a good quality prospect on day 2 and also in the 3rd round as well. So, if it's there in the 1st round and someone happens to fall, because I believe there's going to be a high caliber defensive end that's going to fall to the Cowboys at 26 because there's not much separation outside of kind of what the big 2 is. So you might sit in there where, Nolan Smith, based off of his combine, could push a lot of people back. So, it's going to be interesting to see how the Cowboys list really falls. But, overall, I like the value that you can get at the defensive end position, I'll say, and also the outside linebacker. So I would like the more hybrid, as we mentioned. I think the Cowboys are going to address it, but most importantly, just like we're trying to build the offense around Dak Prescott, it's really time we build this defense around Micah Parsons. And like DMV's been saying, get a guy that can keep him clean to free him up, because he's the anchor. Everything starts and stops with Micah Parsons defensively. So we got to get people around him that can help him do what he does. And that's my final word.
You got it, DMV.
All right, cool. So to start the final word off, I'm going to let y'all know I'm a fan of greatness. That's why I'm a Cowboys fan. And also growing up, man, I was a fan of Michael Jordan, right? So I watched The Last Dance the other day, and watching how Jerry Krause built that team around Michael Jordan, how they just started and built it around Michael Jordan. They got guys like Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen. They got bodyguards. They got guys to help MJ keep him clean. And when I watched it, I couldn't help but think about Micah Parsons, because I do think that he's a generational talent. A lot of people throw around that word, they throw it around loosely, but he is a generational talent. And when you got a generational talent like that, you have to build around them. I'm going to piggyback off of Tuck, but I'm going to take it to another level. I think we need to build this team around Micah Parsons, because I think that that's what's going to take us over the hump. We've tried building around everybody else, but he's the only one that I can think of in the Cowboys uniform outside of Dez Bryant that really, leads by example and is going to leave his heart on the sleeve. You know what I'm saying? So, but when I look at this class of edges, I don't see any elite guys, but I see a whole bunch of bodyguards. And you look at Ray Lewis, right? Ray Lewis was a generational player that they built that team around, and he had a whole bunch of bodyguards throughout his whole career. Now we could have Micah looking like Khalil Mack with no bodyguards, and that's exactly what it's going to be. We won't win anything. If we want to win, we gotta build around our guy and get guys around him that's going to allow him to do, freakish things. So that's my final word.
Well, going back to the kill shot for this argument about priority about defensive ends, here's the deal, and I think that we all need to remember and be very mindful that there were 4 or 5 games where this defensive line produced no sacks. And that was because most of the NFL cracked the code and they tripled and doubled and tripled Micah Parsons. And so when that happens, you have to have somebody opposite that imposes fear, where you cannot commit that much resources to slowing down Micah Parsons. If you don't have that on the opposite side, it's going to be more problematic, and eventually, I hate to say it, you may get Micah Parsons hurt. So I think you need to take the best player available. If you have the opportunity to add speed and talent opposite of him to ensure this, then you need to do it. Furthermore, look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Hate to use them as an example. They stockpiled defensive line talent, and they led the NFL in sacks. They made it to a Super Bowl. And so if you think about these things and you look at it, strong defensive tackle and defensive end play, it covers up a lot of things on the defense, the linebackers and the secondary. Because of the fact that you cannot hold the ball that long and we're in the backfield all the time, you don't have to have great linebackers. Not that we don't want a great linebacker. We do need linebacker help. But I'm saying if you have great pass rushers and a powerful front four, it covers up a lot. We got a chance to make a splash and get some depth in this draft and also add some great players. So I'm excited to see what the Cowboys do. And that's my final word.
All right, my final word is this. First of all y'all final words were fantastic final words from all you guys. But just to bounce off everyone, it's all about Micah. Let's keep it real. It's all about Micah. We got a generational type talent. And just like you said, we need to protect him and make it the game easier for him. Notice how he makes the game easier for the Cowboys, right? He makes the game easier for the Cowboys. We need to make it easier for him by surrounding him with talent, plethora of talent. Number one, you got to re-sign Dante Fowler because I believe he needs to get even more tick in that defensive rotation because he is a pass rusher.
Facts.
He needs to play more. Re-sign him, play more. It's going to help Micah because when Fowler came in that game, you saw his pass rush ability instantly.
Immediately.
So that's a must. To me, he's a must sign. You better bring him back because it ain't like he's 32 or 33 years old. He's a good age, and I think you need to make that happen. But just as I said, when your defense is great, do you want to have a great back end or do you want to have a great front end? I think you always starts up front because that front, them pressures, sacks, all those things, that's what causes the disruption. That's what makes those cornerbacks' jobs easier.
That's what makes them crazy.
That's what makes them linebackers' game easier. We just got to make this game easier for Micah Parsons. And just bouncing off all you guys, we got to be able to get this, and I think this is a type of defensive end class. Like you said, we can add a lot of depth, and you can't have too many pass rushers, dog. You got to keep them coming in waves. Those guys get tired, but when you can keep bringing in guys off the bench that can give you juice, that makes your defense even that more effective, and that's what we need, and that's my final word.
Man, there it is, bro. We sure appreciate that final word. Let's get it.
Hey, I love being a Cowboy.
Big game, James.
Game changer.
Hey, let's have some fun. Let's have a good time, man. Let's kick it.
And there it is, man. That's the final word draft show again on the defensive end. What we doing next week?
What we doing? Doing linebacker?
Let the OC pick, man. Let the OC pick.
He want offensive lineman.
Hey, I'm with it. Hey, I'm with it.
The OC kind of entitled right now. Hey, he should be first. Hey, on everything. He probably done already left. Watch this. Watch this. He gone. Look, he done already left. He want to be first. He done already left. Get out of those. He always has.
And if it was up to me, if it was up to little old me to make a pick, it would probably go a little something like this.
Hey, you need to make a meme
and with the
on that.
17th
You
pick
need to make a meme.
of the 2020 Dallas Cowboys NFL draft,
Hey, what we doing next
Dallas
week,
Cowboys select
What we doing next week?
CeeDee Lamb.
No, I can't do linebackers. I'll be out next week.
Okay. Let's do offensive line.
All right, offensive line it is.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to put the tackles and guards together.
Offensive line across the board.
I will move down.
Oh.
The smart thing would be to move down.
I tell you what, let me text y'all. Let me
Boss
text
could be a
y'all.
trade
I
down
think
with
about
Justin.
it. We might need to put it all together, bro.
We got to trade. We got to trade.
BossCowboySports and the OC
We gotta
is
trade.
Skywalker. I said this the place to move
We were
down.
just sitting here talking
Yo,
Justin
listen,
Fields.
I said it loud and clear. This is the place to move down.
I'm getting
Go
on
hard. Go home. Go hard.
getting on down there. Hey. So if we put the offensive line together, we can start doing the simulator draft.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like where we really need to kind of get it out the way, almost all of it that's left. That way we can just start doing them simulators, and that's gonna be the real fun part, where we can start putting together these mock drafts.
Okay, so we do the offensive line as a whole, and we do linebackers and safety, and then we doing.
Yep, let's do that.
All right,
Yep.
we got tight ends too. Got tight
So
ends.
we gonna do offensive line, and that's perfect because that's gonna be the start of free agents. That's perfect.
Okay.
So just to recap, we gonna do offensive line together next week. That means we gonna put the guards, the tackles, the centers, all of them together. Then after that, we gonna do the safeties and the linebackers.
All right. Next week, O-line talk, everybody.
That's the bet. Let's get it. Final
Those
word.
are gonna be fun.
Oh yeah. All right, y'all.
Funny how foes turn to friends now.
So the Cowboys just selected Jake Ferguson with pick 129. Hey, I'm good. I love the pick. I love the player. I know that a lot of people will say that this is probably a reach. This is about where I had Jake Ferguson. Really solid player from Wisconsin. He can do all of it. He can block. He can run routes. He can actually make people miss in the open field.
Have a race car like a Atari now. Call filling up. I need product again. Treat the business like a playground. Might slide on you. Do me wrong, might slide on you. Do a backflip, cause I'm mad rich. I'm the definition of what that is. Go hard, or go home. 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 Touchdown like the end zone. When the circle turn to my home, can't get me out of my zone. Go hard, or go home. Go hard, go.